Hello, how are you doing?
Hello.
Set up.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. How are you?
Good, thanks. And recording, we're recording. This is going to be video and sound or just sound?
Well, I video recording it. You tell me. I can post this also to the YouTube channel, which is kind of growing, and so.
I'm okay. I'm all right with it. It's too bright. I got my light thing going. There, how's that?
That looks great.
All right.
We're
Okay.
both in our black. We're both wearing black, so.
I only wear black. It's the only color I wear. Sometimes I put a little green on underneath, but basically it's, it's.
You gone goth on us, Janet?
Yeah, I was born too early for goth, but I totally would have been.
I
think I wasn't, but to me, it's like a beatnik thing, I mean, that dates me, but that's kind of where it comes from. Most artists, and you even look at clothing designers, what do they wear? You know what I mean? It's just simpler, and I've always been overweight, but it's, chic and simpler. And
yeah, well, you never have to worry about matching and clothing, and it's kind of, the work is done.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, thank you for agreeing to do this. First of all, I'm so happy that we're connecting. It's been a little while, and and I'm excited to hear about this new South by 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to just ask you first, before we talk about that, find out how you are keeping up, and how, on a personal note, I know probably just you're in Austin right now.
Yeah, I live in Austin full time. I have
full time.
So I've lived here since 2004.
I wanted to know how the last couple of weeks had gone since the kind of the events in Texas. I mean, not to go off on a political direction necessarily, but I hope it wasn't too horrific for you.
It was hard. I mean, it was easier for us than a lot of other people. We lost power for 60 hours, but we got to relocate for the last 24 to somebody else's house who did have power, so we could keep working. We never lost our water, so we were in much better. We don't have extensive damage. We had a little bit of damage to deal with, but that's very different from people that are, were really struck in, and we had some food in the house, etc. So we were much better off. I mean, it's, I don't have a sense. I've been so busy with the prep for South by that, in a sense, I don't really have a sense of the, extent damage for so many people.
Right.
Dealing with it. There was this incredible community support. Kind of so many, and I know even like one of our favorite actresses, directors that lives in town, Anna Margaret Holloman, it just was like really stepped up and has been leading rarely involved with a really big community effort, getting diapers and formula and for people, and she's still at it. So it was interesting to watch people run into that. But for South by, we're like 2 weeks out, and it's a completely new way of doing it, and everything's online, and a lot of people lost power and water for an entire week, and they're still trying to move forward. It's complicated. It set us back for sure.
Well, we should remind people that a year ago, South by was launching, literally, right, when everything was locked down.
Well, our opening date was this 13th. We were supposed to open on March 13th, and that was our day. EDU starts a week before then. So, and we were canceled by the city on March 6th.
Okay.
So yeah, we were in full swing. So much was happening. It was a great program. We loved it. The films were so good. There was incredible activation being planned.
Yeah.
But some years are a little more in love with stuff than other years. And we just felt like last year was really going to connect. Like there was all sorts of stuff that was surprising that nobody was expecting, that we really thought was going to be terrific. And there were incredible activations over the last several years. A lot of companies have come and done these, taken over city blocks, and, brought like experiential experiences, and there were very cool ones in the works. And so it was devastating on a grand scale, and it was the first time for so many of people. It was the first time that people realized this was serious and what it would mean.
Yeah, right. We could see that. Yeah, it was a sure sign that, this is yeah. I think it was for me. I was realizing, and then you start thinking about down what's going to be coming then. If the South by is canceled at this particular moment. I mean, it was a very, very eye-opening and woke woke us up to what we're heading toward.
Because it was an
the
interesting thing
tsunami.
internally, it was an interesting thing internally, like which was
Yeah.
worse. It's like what was going to be the damages to everybody who had planned on participating with us and already had invested in that experience, and the threat of the illness. And
Yeah.
in retrospect, thank God we were canceled, because
Sure.
the stakes were so high. They were life and death, right?
Oh yeah.
But there were just so many people who had so much at stake, and they're
Oh.
still reeling from that.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, there was no other way to go. But and I just want to say, even though this is on the cusp of knowing that both, like in New York City, I'm a little north now. I moved a little north of the city, but how the IFC Center, I just got an email from with the Quad Cinema in New York City, these art houses, hopefully Film Forum, these are opening as we speak. And I get also earlier today a terrible email about the Alamo Draft House declaring Chapter 11. So not to weigh too much on bad news, but
well, except it's Chapter 11. They're not going out of business. They're just reorganizing. I mean, this is an opportunity for them to get rid of some underperforming theaters. I mean, on a certain level, it's like a time. I mean, I think that's what Chapter 11 is about. It's reconsolidating, understanding what makes sense. So, maybe they can break some leases that weren't working well anymore. I don't work for them. I don't know, but it's just like I know, the Ritz was a fantastic theater during South by. It was it was super fun, and we had amazing screenings there, but and it will be missed. But the company is still, I'm sure they will be exciting and great if people go out to the movies again.
People need
they're very
to,
inventive.
Yeah.
They're very good at what they do.
Well, good. Thank you for what could be considered a positive spin on it. I do appreciate that. And I'm
all about, when I was younger, I never saw the silver lining in anything. And now I'm just all about I'm like all about the silver linings. It's funny. It's something about being post 60,
Right.
I really,
don't be fooled.
Part of this.
Don't be fooled by the black wardrobe. She's got a rainbow colors in her attitude where it counts the most. And how could you not? You have to go into something as large and as expansive, slightly scaled down in terms of the days, sort of. It's a 4-day, right? 4 to 5 days, 4 or 5 days?
5 days.
5 days. Thank you for correcting me. 5-day event. Now, typically it's not that much longer because you're actually just repeating films mostly in those last days.
No, that is incorrect. It's 9 days full on. I mean, films show anywhere from 1 to 3 to 5 times, but there's a lot of premieres happening all through up until the last minute. So even though there's repetition of some of the films that have started earlier, no, there's a lot of new different stuff that happens all the way through. So it was a full on busy, really busy 9-day event for us before.
I stand. I appreciate well, listen, I had Werner Herzog on. No matter how much preparation I did, I was going to be corrected. He suffers. There's nothing's going to slip by.
Hey, why should you know that minutia? It's sort of like, I mean, it's just, this is what I spend all year on these 9 days. So like, why should anyone else know it the same way that I do,
Yeah.
And one of the things too is that South by is so complicated that, we internally, they talk about it's like a blind man with an elephant, I think is a parable, but everybody has a really different experience there. So it's hard even internally for anybody to have a sense of the scope of the event. It comes up internally all the time.
Well, I mean, when I would go, I just learned because the first few years I went, I think I was there for almost everything. And then I started to see why some people might say, well, the music people are coming, so get out of that kind of thing. So, I was sometimes lost the last couple of days. I would come in early, hang out in Austin, with friends and be able to enjoy Austin a little bit before I immerse myself, which is all you can do during South by. And it's what I plan to do in about 10 or 11 days when on the 16th of March, it's the 4th today. So 12 days as we speak, March 16th through the 20th, a virtual South by Southwest. Could be the last one you do only virtually. Let's cross our fingers. Right. Talk a little bit, you don't have to go into great detail, but talk a little bit about just like how you guys and you and your team decided to approach structuring this so it was not just taking the old model and just throwing it on the internet. But
Well, yeah, I mean, so what South by Southwest is so distinct, there's really nothing else like it in the world. They're tech conferences, they're great music festivals, they're great film festivals, but nobody else is as robust in all those areas. Plus you throw in comedy and you throw in the creative exhibitions industry, and it's just the networking. It's just, there's really nothing else like it. So, and we are, what people love about us is we're just a great live event. It's all bringing all these people together, all these strangers who get to like mix it up and form community, and, things spark, and it's wonderful. So what do you do when you can't do what you do best? So then we just spent all year kind of trying to think about what would work. And for us, as for anybody who had to pivot this year, it's been challenging for every single person who's had to pivot, every single entity, but it had to work for everything. So it had to work for the whole company. And we were also the first event that really did not go on last year. So we were coming from a deficit position. There were a lot of complications with us canceling. And so we are still dealing with the repercussions of that, which are complicated. So it was just a group, we lost a third of the staff right away from layoffs right after the cancellation. And then it just became a process of different configurations within the company, talking, experiencing other alternatives, the world technologies becoming available, and, kind of figuring out what would work that would preserve, what was most important about us. I know from the film perspective, we love being able to premiere new work and sort of, give talent connection with audience and opportunity. We love that. And we also love a, place where people get to meet one another. So you want a place where ideas can be shared and people are inspired and inspiring. And so how do you build that in? How do you have serendipity in an online environment? So it's just been a lot of conversations and discussions, and there's a huge learning curve. We're having, what are the right tools, whether the tools work for everyone. It's been under a time constraint because we didn't know until kind of a short time ago that it was going to be 100% online. We were always hopeful that who thought this would last for a year, right? So we were trying to plan for an in-person event. And then at a certain point we thought, well, that's not possible. So then it's like, well, okay, it's finding out what are the right technologies that are going to work. And then it's all happening in real time. But what's cool is that now that all the, like a lot of the films are in, I've certainly seen the films, but a lot of the conference sessions are pre-recorded, and even the music performances are pre-recorded, even though there'll be a live way to interact during the event. And the content's great. I mean, there's just great stuff. There's such good stuff. And it's so exciting that so many people wanted to be a part of our event and went to a lot of trouble to bring really great content to us, whether it's sessions, music, films. We're having film special events that are kind of, because, I'm rambling a little bit, but we couldn't do intros and Q&As for all the films, which is a key part of a film festival. It's what people love. And, the pre-recorded ones aren't working as well. They're sort of nice for filmmakers' egos, but they're not getting big audiences, and it's not real interaction. So the question is, trying to figure out what could we do to kind of make sure people can engage with one another and engage with the work. So that's been interesting. And when you look at the schedule now, let me back up for a second. We're going to be premiering, there'll be 5 channels running content. So you just turn it on and you could just watch one channel all day. You could flip between the channels, and it'll be a combination of sessions and music and film special events. So there'll be like 30 plus table read and maybe a couple of live Q&As and maybe some recorded ones and dance party. And the films will launch 7 at a time in 2-hour increments. And then once they launch, they're available on demand to watch. And so the music showcases will be scheduled in the calendar. And if you don't see them at the time they're scheduled, you miss it. They're not available on demand. So there's a lot of different ways that South by will be experienced and possible, but it captures that sense of all this different stuff all happening at the same time, and how much fun that is.
You're speaking a lot about the music end of it. Are you finding that it helps to, because of the nature of how South by is running this year, that talking about the music helps to let people understand the context, all the context of the festival?
Well, I mean, it's just always the fact that we're not purely a film festival.
Right. Yeah.
We've never been purely a film festival. So and it's the way we
Oh, it
converge.
started as a music festival. Film was added
Right.
secondly. Yeah, sure.
Right. And so the way, I mean, we we have a lot of crossover with our with the conference speakers as well. So we have we always program that way. We always look for films that we know will play great to the conference crowd. And in this case, there's several of them this year where there are conference sessions that are also tied in with films we're showing. And so it's just, the reason I mentioned music is just because it's the interplay of the different elements that distinguish us.
Okay. Yeah. So you said there are how many channels? 5?
There are 5. There are 5, but then there are 5 channels, but then they've got 12 hours of programming that's repeated on the overnight for the different time zones. So it's like from 10 till 10, there's fresh programming all day long in the 5 channels. But then there are there's like 200 sessions, panel picker sessions that will be available like around 10 o'clock on Tuesday. They're kind of on demand. And the films, even though they're on the channels, they're not running on the live channels. They're just in the schedule. They're in the schedule. And once they become available, they're available on demand.
Once they premiered, in a sense, and
once they've launched.
Launched. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Well, because you can register for a film at Tuesday at 10 a.m. and not watch it till Thursday. Once you've registered for a film, you can watch it whenever you want before the event ends.
Gotcha. Understood. And so people can go to South by SxSW, South by Southwest.com, register. I noticed there's a discount now as of March, $325. You can register for the festival. Correct?
Yeah. Okay.
It's not your end.
I don't know. I think in the event, it's actually online. It could be this year. We're calling it South by Southwest Online, and so so I'm sure you can get to it through the SxSW.com, but also there's a landing page of online.SxSW.com.
Gotcha. But so once you get to the website, the South by Online Festival's website, you can register. And you're you get the whole caboodle. It sounds like
which is amazing. I mean, that is actually one of the cool things this year, that you have to have an online pass to engage with anything. There's no guest tickets, there's no single film tickets you can purchase, there's no guest passes of any kind. The only entree to the event is through an online pass, but once you have an online pass, you have access to everything, which is great.
It's an amazing amount of, and the quality is going to be very satisfying. You'll feel like you've been to South by Southwest by the
Hopefully.
end. So I just want to mention some statistics: 75 features, 57 of which are world premieres, 3 international premieres, 4 North American premieres, 1 US premiere, 8 Texas premieres, 53 films. Let me see which one is this. First time
directors, I think.
First time directors, thank you. 84 short films. I mean, 5 episodic, 6 episodic pilots, 20 virtual cinema projects, 14 title design. I can't read my own handwriting half the time. That's my problem. I need somebody to entries, and 30 special events. It's incredible. I mean, I guess I was concerned because I was thinking, now you're talking about, okay, there might be a certain percentage, and I assume that of maybe filmmakers who are holding on maybe to their films, or in the case, maybe you offered them this year because they lost last year. I mean, that's a lot of time for somebody to wait to premiere their film or to play South by, but these are not all films that were obviously produced in the last 16 months or something, 17, 18 months, right? These are a lot of these films filmmakers have been sitting on, producers have been sitting on. Do you think?
I don't know about that. I mean, we opened for submissions in October. We opened for a very truncated short. It was only a 3-week submission period. Usually we open in late June. And we have a rule about how recent a film has to be. I mean, it can't be more than a year older than our submission period. So that's still in place. We did invite all the 2020 films to resubmit to us gratis. And in our hearts, we would have shown all of them. But when we realized we had to do a smaller program just for people's attention spans, and it was a 5-day event, we ended up with only 9 of the films from 2020, 9 features from 2020 that we invited to be part of this program, and we created a section called the 2020 Spotlight. But otherwise, everything came in was a fresh new submission, and a fresh new choice. But now, I don't know. Some people spend 10 years making films, and some people make them in, a month. And every year there are films that we've perhaps passed on the year before that they were rushing and they weren't quite done.
Yeah.
And that we've accepted. So I can't vouch for exactly the end date on when these films were finished. A lot of the filmmakers are finishing them in real time right this second. But it was a normal period. And when we opened for submissions, we didn't know how many films there would be. We were kind of curious, but it was a great submission pool. We loved what we found. Yeah. And there probably, I haven't counted up, somebody else counted up that there were maybe 7 films that are very specifically pandemic related in the program. I don't know if that's an accurate number, but it's something along those lines. And they're very obviously were made during the pandemic, but they were all done really well. They were,
right, sure.
we weren't looking to program them. We just programmed them because they were good films.
You probably haven't had much bandwidth for what I'm about to ask about, but I'm just curious as we kind of start to wind down. Have you had any conversations about 2022?
It's so funny to me that people ask that. I guess it makes sense because everybody asks that. I don't think that way. I'm a real day at a time person. You know what I mean? So I've never had a 5-year plan. And to me, what's important is I think if there's anything that I bring that's valuable to any situation I'm in, it's actually being really present and thinking what's valid in the moment. So I'm really curious to see how South by Online is going to work and what we're going to learn from it and how that's going to form any decisions going forward.
That's a good point, right? This is a real sort of opportunity.
Yeah, and not just us. I mean, it's just everybody, it's like what Toronto did, what New York Film Festival did, what Sundance did was fantastic. It's like everybody keeps setting the bar in a different place. So it's sort of like there's what it feels like today, but things could be, this experience will add to the new factors, and then the world might change too. Like who could have predicted this a year ago? If you said what's South by 2021 going to be like, I'd be like, we were sitting home in a pandemic for a year. Who knew that? So that's why I don't even bother. It's kind of like, just hopefully you learn, and you're always kind of learning and improving from everything.
Again, South by Southwest will be running from March 16th through the 20th, those 5 days. And I'll have the links. I'll have everything ready to go in a day or two when I post this conversation. I'll look forward to. I already booked Udo Kier, so Udo Kier.
God, he's so good. I mean, we didn't talk about any of the films, which I actually don't like singling out films, except I love the program. There are so many good films. He gives a performance of his lifetime. It's wonderful.
Yeah, he's kind of doing what they accused Nicolas Cage of doing often, which is kind of running away, like just going. It's like let them see what they do, and he really it's a very unusual performance, but it's called Swan Song. It just so happens. I was thinking there's just so many films. I mean, we can mention the Demi Lovato Dancing with the Devil as the opening night film. The centerpiece is Tom Petty, Somewhere You Feel Free. Those are his lyrics. Closing night, Alone Together.
They're great. I mean, they're all so strong. I mean, I love this program, and so I don't know how to talk about it, but those three, and funny, we didn't intentionally set them all up to be music films, but that's what emerged for this year. And in terms of artists dealing at this time and creating, and they're wonderful.
Thanks so much. I think I asked you everything that was on my mind. Did I miss anything?
I just, and now at this point, I used to say during the live event, whenever I introduce a film, I always thank the audience and say, this is the whole point of it. This is when it comes alive. All these filmmakers create this work, but it comes alive when they're seen by you. And I still feel that way in this online experience. And we're really trying to encourage all the viewers to, when they've seen work, like talk to the filmmakers about it. Like you go to their film event page and chat to them, or use social media to chat to them. It's because the filmmakers are really, they're missing that live experience. As a filmmaker, you usually stand in the back of a room and you can feel if it's working or not. And nobody's getting that experience right now. A little bit in drive-ins, but it's still not the same. And so we're encouraging, we hope people come and watch the stuff because the films are great. And then we hope they make noise about it, both to the filmmakers and to each other, to the rest of the audience, because that's the whole point of how this works.
That's why people love going to film festivals. And thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so connect with the filmmakers. They are very available in almost any case. And I will say, from a personal level, I'll miss you. You're really one of the best moderators of Q&As for like somebody who runs a festival that I know. I miss seeing that this year. Yeah, you do a great job. Your enthusiasm comes across every time. You're very great in front of the audience. You know, I don't say that about every executive director of a film festival, but I could say that about, if I could throw you a compliment.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. That's actually very kind of here. We are certainly, for the registrants, for the people that are engaging with South by Southwest, there are going to be a number of different ways for people hopefully to gather. So, you know, there'll be a film meetup that's event wide every day at a different time. So anybody wants to talk about like, what'd you see, what'd you like? There'll be some kind of Zoom every day people will be part of. There'll be an AMA with chat for the film staff every day that people can ask questions. And that's definitely, I'll be there doing that. And, you know, we might be using some other platforms as well, anywhere people are talking these days. And, you know, there'll be some filmmaker to filmmaker meetups. So, you know, it's certainly where we had an orientation a couple of days ago where we had like 150 filmmakers at noon and another 120 at 6. And it was really great. I'd never been on a Zoom that was that busy, but all the filmmakers brought such great energy and they loved meeting each other. They all introduced each other and it was exciting, and everybody could just feel the like excitement to connect. And
well, you should definitely be carrying on some of these successful components into the future, regardless of where the things go. Like, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Go back to work, I guess.
Miles to go before I sleep, for sure.
I appreciate, again, I do appreciate making the time. It was very nice that you got back so quick and we were able to pull this off so quickly and easily.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. All right. Talk to you again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Or see you online.
Okay.